this experience has really got me thinking about how often do I really even want to drink? Well, hey, it is day 60 of our trip, and we are currently in Koh Samui. And I wanted to talk to you about something that I kind of realized today, and that is the fact that I have accidentally been sober for 60 days. Technically, okay, it's more than 60 because it's not like the last drink I had was, the day before we left on our trip, but still, the fact that I have not had a single drop of alcohol the entire time we've been here is just kind of interesting. So, I guess to start this off, I've never had a problem with alcohol. I don't consider myself like a person with addictive behavior. Like, I have no problem with people drinking. Like, I'm not anti-drinking, and I will definitely drink in the future. This is not like a story about my substance issues or something like that. No, like, never had a problem with alcohol. I honestly wasn't drinking a ton before we even left on this trip. I would say I probably would have a drink on average, maybe like one or two every like 2 weeks. Sometimes I might go several weeks or a month without drinking at all. Sometimes I might drink for several days in a row, like with friends, birthdays or going out, whatever. And I certainly drink less than I did in my early 20s. So that's probably the time I was like drinking the most. But yeah, I've never had a problem with that stuff. I very much have felt like I'm someone who could, drop it at any time and be fine. I just want to make that clear that like I don't have a problem with alcohol. I will drink again. It was more just interesting that this suddenly became a very like sober trip for me. And there's a couple reasons for this. One of the big ones is just the fact that my husband Brand doesn't drink that much. He does very occasionally, and usually only when we're at like a birthday party with a bunch of friends. We almost never drink when it's just the two of us, or like I will have maybe a glass of wine or something, but like he almost never does. So the fact that it's been the two of us so often just means it like doesn't come up that much. I haven't had any alcohol on this trip. It's been completely sober, and I'm really loving it. It's actually been surprisingly nice. I think if you told me I was gonna take a break from alcohol for a while, I would have said, okay, whatever, like, I don't really care. But I would not have thought I would feel any way about it. I would have thought that I would just feel the same, that I wouldn't notice any difference, that I wouldn't have any feelings one way or the other. I'm pretty neutral on drinking or not drinking, but I've been surprised by how nice it's been. I honestly think the biggest thing that I've been enjoying is the fact that I basically never think about it. Because Bran, isn't a big drinker. He really hasn't ever been, but, especially not when it's just the two of us and we're busy doing other things. It just never comes up. We don't think about it. I kind of forget it exists all the time. It almost becomes funny when we're at certain restaurants and they'll like ask if we want a beer or whatever. I'll be like, oh, right, like that's a thing. I forgot about that. I kind of forget it exists. And, it's not like I don't see people, enjoying alcohol while we're on this trip. We're in a lot of places where people go on holiday, they're on vacation. Of course, they're drinking. I'm around it. But still, somehow, it feels very separate from me, I guess. And I think it's been nice. It's been nice to not think about it, to not have it affect my life in any way. And I've noticed some other benefits. One, it's saving us money. I mean, obviously, we all know that going out costs money, drinking costs money. We know this. And it's not like we were spending a lot of money on it to begin with. But even still, the fact that it's been exactly $0 on all of our budgeting, of all of our spending that we've done on this whole trip, that's like that's saving us a lot of money, you know? Like, even if I had just had a drink here or there, you know, maybe once a week, we're still able to use that money towards other things. And that's actually been really cool. You know, it's making our money go further, and that's great. As far as like health things go, I can't be sure what things are affecting me and what aren't. You know, it could be environment, could be all sorts of factors, could be I'm less stressed, who knows? But my skin is definitely clearer. I'm a little bit broken out right now, I suppose. But on the whole, this entire trip, after a couple of weeks, my skin has never been this clear. It's never been this clear. That's crazy that I feel like I've had the most clear skin I've had in my like adult life. And I definitely do think my sleep is better. It's not perfect, but I definitely think it's improved. And I'm a pretty good sleeper to begin with. So that's been kind of interesting too. Things that I didn't really think were like bad, I have noticed are better, are improved. Like I said, I would have told you no difference, no way there'll be a difference, but I do think there has been like a tiny health improvement. The last thing that I've been enjoying, and it goes along with this idea of I'm not thinking about alcohol really, is I am relearning this idea. Like, you can have a lot of fun going out, hanging out, and even going out with friends completely sober. So, some friends of ours were with us for about 2 weeks. Was it a month ago? Oh my gosh, it feels so long now. Some friends of ours were with us not that long ago, and we didn't drink at all while they were there. And these are people we have gone to parties with and stuff. It's not like we've never had alcohol together. And we didn't drink at all the entire trip. And at first I was like, oh, do you feel bad about that? Are we like ruining your fun? And they were like, no, actually, it's really nice because, you know, we have some friends that party a lot and some that don't. And it's nice for us to like get a break because some vacations just are like a whole big party fest. And we love that, but it's nice to have something more laid back and sober as well. So it was cool to just be like with some of our friends and not feel the need to do that. Alcohol's just not really part of it. I don't feel the need for it to be part of it in order to have a good time. I've definitely gone to plenty of social events and not had alcohol when people were drinking. I've done that before. I will do it again. But I will say the reason why I think this happened, because like I said, I wasn't planning on doing this. This was not intentional at all. But the reason this happened was because I have been in a different environment. And you can see this in studies with people that do have problems with substances. If you take yourself out of the environment you're in all the time, you take yourself away from people you're around all the time, and break those typical links, those typical associations you have, those like desires, those triggers, those, there's a word for it in like, what is it? The power of habit. Oh, there's some more like technical terms that people like to use when you talk about habit forming, like a prompt or a cue, something like that. But when you take those things away, you know, the desire to do the thing goes away too. So I'm not getting prompted to want to have a glass of wine because I'm out of the environment that I would typically drink in. I'm not around the people I would typically drink with. And I will be around those people again. I will be back in San Francisco with all my friends and it will be fine. You know, I don't think I like am going back into like a dangerous environment or something, but it's just been interesting to see that even though I'm not a person who has a problem with this stuff, I can still see how those things are linked, even for me, and how, you know, being around people that I care about, people that I'm having a lot of fun with, can make me feel like, oh, I can or I should drink, or that I want to drink. That you know, desire comes up and happens because I'm in those environments, and that when I'm in this different environment, that desire is completely gone. It's just been a really interesting observation. I'd be really curious to know, like, have you been in a situation where like you moved or you just, you know, happen to change friend groups really drastically for one reason or another? or like some other big change happened in your life and you saw like a part of your personality go away almost overnight. I'd be really curious if something like that happened to you because of a different environment, basically. So I guess a question that you might be thinking about is like, oh, like, are you going to be sober forever now? Is this whole trip a sober trip? Like, is this now going to become an intentional thing? And no, like, it's not. I'm going to be meeting up with more friends. I'm going to be with family. I'm going to be with people that we're going to be celebrating things. And I fully intend to have alcohol if I feel like it. And if I don't feel like it, I'm not going to force myself. But like, if I feel like it, yeah, I'm going to drink again. And I definitely don't intend to be sober for the rest of my existence or something. Like, that's not what I intend to do. But this experience has really got me thinking about how often do I really even want to drink? Like, is that desire really true? Or is it just coming from a place of like repetitive habit and environment? You know, is it just this like trigger that's sort of happening in my brain? Or like, do I actually think that that will be fun and worth it? I'm going to be thinking a lot harder about that now. I'm definitely going to drink again. I'm not sorry about it. When that time happens, if I'm around people that's just more part of this trip, you know, it'll probably be kind of like it was before. Maybe once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks, like somewhere around there, you know. But it's nice to know that I can go this long very easily without even thinking about it, and that it was a positive experience, you know? Taking a break from alcohol doesn't have to be a chore. It can actually be really, really fun. And I think a really critical part of that is the environment change. If you're someone who feels like you just want a break or want to test it out, I think it's probably going to be really important to change some of your routine in order to do that. If you want it to be easy and not feel like you're missing something or you're like not doing something that your friends are doing, you might have to change who you're hanging out with or where you're hanging out with them. Maybe don't meet at the bar, maybe meet somewhere else. You know, I think that's clearly going to be a critical element if that's something you want to try, because this has been fairly painless. Like I said, I didn't plan to do this. I haven't really thought about doing it, and I sort of just found myself here, day 60, having done it. All I want to say is like, hey, being sober is fun. And if you want to try it, think about changing your environment, because I am really shocked about how big of a correlation that really is. And, you know, take the money that you save and then go do something just as fun with the people that you normally go drinking with. Anyway, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for listening to my random sober story here. And I will check in with you tomorrow. Goodbye.